Welcome to this week's edition of Navigate Your Wealth. I'm Rebecca Powers. So happy to be here again with the brilliant ladies of Compass Financial, Karen Stowicki and Samantha Irish. Great to see you this week.
Wonderful.
Super great to see you as well.
So a lot of people may not realize this, but you have been in this business for 42 years, which is amazing. And your beautiful daughter said when she was 11 years old that she was going to be your partner. How old was she when she actually started studying finances?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question, actually. When Samantha went off to college, she asked if she should take finance, accounting, what classes she should take. And I said, take something useful.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, there's a method to my madness. I wanted her to take marketing. I wanted her to take communication. I wanted her to take things that were really going to help build the relationship with the client. Because anybody can learn finance, but knowing how to really interact with a client is something special that Samantha brings to the table.
That's brilliant, because it's about the relationships. It's about trust.
Well, and it's also about how you feel, right? It's your money. You worked so hard for it. We don't want to just jump in, and because we know numbers, we tell you what to do.
Right. Amen.
I want to listen to you. I want to hear what motivates you. You didn't work all of those years so that you could sit at home in retirement and twiddle your thumbs, right?
Yes.
You've got dreams. You want to travel. You want to spoil the grandchildren. You want to see the world. We want to hear what those things are that are important to you and then design a plan that lets you live the retirement of your dreams.
Yeah, I think so many people are nervous, like, oh, I don't even want to look under the hood. I don't want to bring all my numbers. I don't want to even. But for you all, it's really about that first conversation. It's just what you said. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Let's talk about that first conversation.
Well, it really is just that. It's a conversation. It's more about listening than it is about talking. It's really about finding out, and I sometimes say this, if you had a pile of money on the desk right here and I handed you a magic wand, what are some of the things that you'd wish and hope that money could do for you? I want to hear about what their dreams are. I want to hear about what they've worked so hard. I want to hear about the deferred enjoyment, because many people, when they've worked all their lives, have deferred doing a lot of things, saying, when I retire. In fact, I have a saying that I say, clients will say, so when are you going to spend the money? Well, I'm waiting until I get old. I say, I got a news flash for you. You're there. Like, let's go have some fun right now. Let's figure out how to spend that money. But in order to spend the money, you need to make sure that we can preserve the money and make it last. And that's really the number one thing that we want to help clients understand. They're going to live longer than sometimes they may want to, but we want to make sure that the money lasts with them.
I think in education, and we've said this before, and we can all agree that in our public school system, we are definitely not taught about even the basic things of interest rates or compounding interest. All we're taught when I started in television at 20, like, oh, do you want to be high risk or low risk? And I don't know. You're young. Okay, high risk.
Right.
With the big bucks, 20 years went by, never heard from them, and realized I'm 40-something years old and I'm still in high risk. All they taught us was diversification, 60-40, 60-40. That was the extent of our education.
Right.
Let's talk about what does it mean to really diversify?
Right. Well, what you were talking about is diversification of risk. And you must diversify based on risk, which means that you do need some of your assets in something that's aggressive, that has the chance to grow. But you also need a portion of your assets in things that are more conservative and that give you that security to know that just like at the bank, you put your money in the bank and you go away. And at the moment, it doesn't earn anything.
Right.
But when you come back, 100% of it is still there. And so one of the ways that we talk about diversification is, in fact, the risk diversification. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to give you a 60-40 portfolio. Because what does that mean? I mean, you asked the question yourself. I have no idea. A guy told me it was a good idea once.
Right.
20 years later, I'm still doing it.
Well, in diversification, thanks, Samantha, diversification, you talked about at the bank. And I remember there was a number of years that I actually worked in a bank as a financial advisor. And Mrs. Jones would come in and I'd be explaining to her all the different opportunities other than certificates of deposits. And she'd say, honey, I'm diversified. I say, no, Mrs. Jones, having money in 7 banks is not diversification.
Exactly.
Any more than having 7 mutual funds is diversification.
Exactly.
You need to understand that there are different asset classes and there are different reasons and different different times. We actually use a model that is called the GPS, stands for Growth, Protection, and Savings, because those are three very critical components to a successful plan.
I love that.
And in this model, we call it above the line and below the line. And any asset that's above the line is what we call a paper asset. It can change in value on a daily basis. The stocks, your mutual funds, your 401k, real estate, all of those things fluctuate in value, and they don't become real until you sell them. Below the line, we call real wealth. It's those assets at the bank. Again, you walk away and come back, you didn't earn much, but it's still there. And there are other assets that are like that are very, very conservative. Wall Street rule of thumb says age below the line. Think about that. Above the line is where you get your growth. Below the line is where it's conservative. So if you're an 80-year-old, they're saying 80% should be below the line, which is probably appropriate. Okay? 20% should still be somewhere where you're getting some growth, because let's face it, you want to still be able to talk about that stock at the cocktail party, right? But conversely, a 20-year-old should have the majority of their assets above the line. They've got time on their side. They've got growth that they're after.
But they have to have assets that are below the line in our model, or more conservatively positioned, because it gives them the opportunity to be in control. If the market goes down, what do? Sell one dog to buy another?
Right.
But if you have money that is conservatively positioned and that is available, now you have the opportunity to capture the growth, because if the market is down, we know
it's going to come back
in time, it's going to come back up. So we want to make sure that even if you're young, you don't want to just put everything in the market, because then you're at the mercy of the market.
And bonds used to kind of be safer, right? Explain the difference now on that.
We got a little quagmire going on right now. You know, you've probably heard this said, but when interest rates go up, bond values go down. When interest rates go down, bond values go up. The interesting thing is that this year, not only is the stock market wreaking havoc because, of course, of inflation and all kinds of other things that are going on, but bonds, because as interest rates have aggressively been raised to try and, you know, tame inflation. That's right. So this is a one time in history that both bonds and stocks are doing terribly, which is why if you look at your portfolio, and many of you may be looking at statements right now and you're saying, wait, I thought I had a conservative portfolio. Why am I down 14%? It's because the bonds went down too.
Is that something you can also do, is really evaluate their risk and tell them exactly what they're doing, what fees they're paying, or hidden fees they don't even know about?
Listen, if you are watching this today and you're worried about what your portfolio is doing, the risk that it is exposed to, or the cost that you're paying for it, pick up the phone and give us a call. Dial the number on the bottom of your screen, 855-348-3073. We want to help you do a risk analysis, determine what risk you're exposing your retirement to, and then find a way to take that risk off the table.
Absolutely. Perfect time. I'm going to take a very short break. Again, what Samantha said, there's no cost, no obligation. They just want to get to meet you and get to have that initial conversation. There's the number one more time, 855-348-3073. We'll be right back.